something happening here, but what it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there.
All right, welcome to the Crazy Pills podcast. Today what I'm going to talk about is crypto. Last video I made where I talked about crypto was in June, and that was when Bitcoin was in like the 30 something thousands, I think. It actually reached down to like $29,000 in July, right? But back in June when I made the video, what I talked about was how the bull run wasn't over. There's gonna be some consolidation before it goes higher. It actually went way longer than I thought it would, right? But today's October 21st. Yesterday, Bitcoin actually hit a new all-time high, right? So that all-time high was in April, where it was a hair under 65,000, and then yesterday it actually touched a hair right under 67,000, right? And there's a lot of hype. One of the crypto groups that I'm in, that kind of in a huge part of, people in there, two of them said that they actually had their financial advisor contact them to tell them, hey, I could get you into Bitcoin if you want. Okay, so what I'm here to say is now is still a great time to get into crypto, but it is a terrible time to get into Bitcoin. Okay. Let's see, where do I want to start with that? Okay, so let's just talk about market psychology and then investment in general. Okay, we all know you want to buy low, you want to sell high, right? When something is undervalued, that's the best time to get in. And then when it's overvalued, you want to get out. Okay, those are just basic principles. Everyone agrees with that, okay? Now, when it comes to emotions, you literally have to almost go against your emotions to be able to win when it comes to investing, at least in the current paradigm, right? So if everybody knows it, if everybody's talking about it, it's a great investment, you already missed the move, like the big move up, right? So for example, right now, if I talk to you about stocks, people are like, oh, I want to buy Apple stocks, I want to buy Tesla stocks, right? There's already a lot of hype behind it. It's already high. It could go higher, yes, because the stock market's going up. But at this time, if you go into Tesla stocks, you already missed most of the move up, especially if Tesla stock hits a new all-time high and then you get in because, okay, now we're in price discovery. It's going to go up. You already missed most of the move up. But two, you're just basically following what at least a lot of people agree with, right? Same thing on the way down. When things look really bad, right? So back in July when Bitcoin hit 29,000, people were saying it's going to go to 20,000, it's going to go back to 14,000, right? And then if you look back now, right, now that Bitcoin, actually it had a slight dip this morning, it's at like 63,000, but if it hit 67,000 yesterday, right, just when everyone was saying what a bad idea was, that was actually the best time to get in, okay? So if you want to get into crypto, there's lots of great opportunities, and my recommendation is that you don't want to get into Bitcoin, because even if you get in, even if it sets a new high, it goes a little bit higher, right? The strategy, and this is something I've been playing for over a year now, is that it's going to top out somewhere between $70,000 to $80,000 for this cycle, okay? Which is why back in June when it was going down, there's multiple factors that I took into account, and most of it is actually just from a market structure, from technical analysis. It did not actually seem like the bull market was over. It just seemed like it was a temporary pullback to consolidate to actually take the next leg up, okay? I do think the end is coming soon, and I actually said that back in May when I made a video. But if you do want to get into crypto, definitely get in, but don't get into Bitcoin, okay? And then I'll actually add to that, don't get into Ethereum, right? Ethereum is the second largest crypto by market cap, and also the second most well-known one. For Ethereum, for me, I think the top will be somewhere between 5,000 and 6,000. right now it's trading at like $4,100. So yes, it's going to go up more. I just don't think a lot of the upside is there. Me personally, you want to go back and look at some of the previous videos I put out. I already talked about the stuff that I'm high in. I'm still high on those cryptos. I still have the same price targets. Nothing has changed, but just, I'm making this video because right now when people are getting excited about crypto again, they're literally going to get into the stuff that seems safe, that everyone's talking about, and they're actually going to miss a lot of the upside. Okay. Next, I do want to talk about where I think crypto is going. So if you guys never heard of the phrase or term DeFi, DeFi is short for decentralized finance. And then if I had to explain it at like a very basic level, essentially it's replacing, it's taking a decentralized approach using crypto to replace what we're doing financially right now, which is a centralized approach. Okay, so the analogy I like to give is, you guys have heard of the game World of Warcraft, or you played it, or maybe like, just imagine it's like this make-believe world, right? And then it's called a MMORPG. So what is it? Massively multiplayer online RPG, right? So there's this fictitious world. Everyone has a character or an avatar they can log in, and then you could do whatever. You could do quests, PvP, play, fight against other people, do all that stuff, right? There's a whole ecosystem there, right? So it's a world, there's an ecosystem, and it's essentially software, right? It's a game. Now with the ecosystem specifically, I want to talk about that there's a financial system in World of Warcraft. So you can earn gold in World of Warcraft. And then with that gold, you can actually buy other items, right? You could trade items for items with other players. And you can even list the items on an auction house and then like get people to bid. And then, it's pretty fair, right? Like there's some people that are just bidding because they want the item. There's some people that bid because they want to take the item and actually resell it later because they think it's undervalued, right? But there's a whole ecosystem. There's even a way to off-ramp that value in World of Warcraft, because if you want to go to like eBay, I'm sure there's like other sites, you can actually sell World of Warcraft gold for real world money, and you could also sell World of Warcraft items for real world money, right? So you could call that an off-ramp. And it's not one-on-one, but that's a pretty close analogy of what DeFi is. Okay, so DeFi is essentially using crypto now as far as like borrowing money, lending money rather than banks making the fees and the interest. People who participate and supply liquidity, right? So actually supply value to the network can actually benefit from it. That to me is by far where most of the focus in crypto is actually going, right? And that's actually where the biggest opportunity is. And if you watch like mainstream media or Twitter, right, we're focusing on NFTs. And NFTs doesn't have to be like a JPEG or a video that's selling for lots of money, right? That's just the bastardized use case version of it right now. In the future, NFTs, which stands for non-fungible tokens, are actually going to be used to track identity, like your passport. You could actually do NFTs with real estate, things that you actually own, right? Everything can actually be secured on a blockchain. And when it's non-fungible, that just means that there's an encryption so you can identify or differentiate between it, right? So for example, if we do Bitcoin right now, there's nothing differentiating the one Bitcoin from another, right? There's 18 million of them in circulation. There's nothing differentiating them. When you do it with an NFT, now you could actually differentiate it because of the encryption, okay? NFTs are done on something called a smart contract. So Ethereum is a smart contract blockchain. Bitcoin isn't, okay? There is a huge competition in the smart contract space right now, and then doing DeFi, and then also with NFTs, and they're all tied to smart contract. So if you're actually really interested in crypto and making real money, looking into smart contract, DeFi, and starting to learn about it is where the biggest opportunity is, okay? So tying it back to what I was talking about earlier about World of Warcraft, whether you heard, maybe a lot of you guys heard recently, Congress is trying to propose a bill, led by the Biden administration, where bank transactions that are $600 or more have to be reported from the bank to the IRS, right? And they say, hey, it's to hold the billionaires responsible. But if you just think about it at a very basic level, how is that actually holding the billionaires responsible, right? It's actually just another level of surveillance and, in my opinion, intrusion into just most middle class, everyday Americans' lives. Okay. Now, in World of Warcraft, if you made more gold, right, or if you accumulated more items that could technically be offloaded into real world value, they don't tax you, right? You don't have to report your World of Warcraft gold to the IRS and tax you. Same thing when you get into DeFi, because it's not localized just to the US, right? You're essentially using the internet to connect to a network that is worldwide, and you're just participating in software or a whole different form of money, or just say it's some kind of unit of exchange, right? And there's not even really any laws right now in place to regulate or tax that, because it's such a big paradigm shift from from what we've been doing up to this point, right? And technology has actually made that available. And you can see as trusted money just gets eroded more and more and more. So fiat money, F-I-A-T, just means money that's not backed by anything, right? So we used to be on a gold standard. Once we went off of that, now it's called fiat money. And fiat money is worldwide. And you can see how all the central banks around the world are just printing at an exponential pace, right? And there's no threshold as far as actual dollar amount or nominal amount where you're gonna hit hyperinflation, right? But because hyperinflation comes from, it's psychological, okay? And it happens when the group can no longer actually has confidence in the money. When the group no longer has confidence in the money, then boom, hyperinflation, because we would rather hold anything, goods, gold, precious metal, silver, maybe crypto, over actually holding this US dollar that you could just print a shitload of. Just to give you an idea, the M2 money supply is a basic way to measure money. 60+% of all the US dollars ever created in the history of the country was printed between 2020 and this year, okay? So there's just, it's getting pretty bad. And you can put your head in a hole in the ground and ignore it, right? But it's coming, and there's no way to avoid it when it's just in your face more and more and more. So when it comes to DeFi, right, you can really see how there's an opportunity where, as the world's central banks and government really fucks up what they're doing as far as the monetary policy and then people's trust in the money, right? And how DeFi is already gaining momentum and growing and growing. If you know of anything about NFTs, they're all on a smart contract, right? It's growing. You can see how people are more and more likely to actually adopt DeFi, okay? Now, let's just take the World of Warcraft analogy again. So now, what if I'm a business owner, I own a gym. I'm actually you know what? I actually trust the World of Warcraft network more than the US government as far as sound monetary policy. So I'm actually gonna be willing to accept World of Warcraft gold as payment for business, right? All of a sudden, I can actually still receive value in a different form than just US dollars. And if enough people participate, everything has to shift, okay? So DeFi is growing right now. And then as DeFi is growing, right, it's kind of a combination. There's more opportunity in the beginning. And obviously, they want to incentivize people to use it, right? Think about when we use the term network effect. I mean, there's a network, it can have really great features, but if only 2 people are using it, it's not going to actually provide a lot of value. But as more and more people participate in the network, say like Facebook, for example, all of a sudden it becomes more and more useful. And then once you reach a threshold when enough people use it, they don't have to incentivize you to use it anymore. You'll actually willingly participate because you're getting value out of it, And then in some cases, you're actually willing to pay money to participate in that network because it's providing so much value, right? But in the beginning, if you want to get more users, right? And you're not like, it's not like a first mover's advantage where there's nothing there. It's just something that's interesting, fun, and new, and there's just hype and people buy in. A great way to get people to use it is to incentivize people, whether it's extremely low fees, right? So like if something wanted to compete with Airbnb now, right? Or something wanted to compete with Uber, they have to make it worthwhile for the people participating in it for them to actually join, okay? So when it comes to DeFi, we're kind of in that phase right now where one, you can actually start accumulating value before everyone else is hyping it up and talking about it. And also there's a lot of incentive. And then also if it does become adopted, right, the appreciation of the value or assets, World of Warcraft gold that you actually get could actually be life-changing and also turn into generational wealth, okay? And this kind of ties back into just being able to being able to see stuff more in the big picture into the future, right? Don't buy into what everybody is talking now, because if you buy into that now, you already missed the boat. Doesn't mean you can't make a little bit of money, but even if you do, that's not where the big opportunity is. You have to actually see where things could possibly go and then get into that, and that will actually set you up a lot more. And then, you know, by then, if you already have 6 months to a year in it, and then it gets hot or popular, right? You've already set yourself up in a good place to actually make a lot of money. None of the crypto videos I've made before, nothing has really changed. You know, it's still the same plan as far as like exit strategy, short term, long term. I talked about how we're kind of in like the area, the part of the cycle right now where it's like the dot-com bubble, right? So the dot-com bubble popped early 2001. So if you were around in June of 2020 and you knew you had 6 to 7 months of just a mania phase where things that didn't actually have fundamental value are going to just appreciate by hundreds of %, how would you play that knowing the bubble is going to pop and knowing that a few years later, really fundamentally sound companies or use cases for the internet are going to really take off, and then there's some stuff that you're going to hold for the long term that will actually appreciate a ridiculous amount, right? So you can play the short term and the long term. When I'm talking about the DeFi, it's more like short, middle, and long term, depending on which phase, which part of it that you're actually getting into. But it's actually something that definitely is going to be a part of the future. And then even in the short term, right, there's a bull market that I think will crash within the next 3 months at most, you know, with where Bitcoin is. You can actually play the short term too, okay? So I didn't really get specific strategies because I already kind of talked about it in the previous videos if you want to rewatch that. But just something to think about, right? And yes, there's going to be a lot of hype about Bitcoin and then probably Ethereum by like next week or the week after. And then what I'm actually saying is don't buy into those if you're going to get into crypto, because you already missed your opportunity by the time there's a lot of hype. All right, hopefully that helps. And good to be back. I will talk to you guys next time.